All right, so we're going to get right into it. You guys know how this works. No, on Tuesday nights and Thursday nights, I always try to go live to answer questions that people might have about Social Security benefits. And the way it works is we have a phone right behind this microphone that will take basically calls, will answer questions that they have, but there are some basic rules that you've got to follow just up front so you know what to expect. Number one, when you go ahead and answer the phone, when you go ahead and interact with us, you have to go ahead and use a fake name. Number two, you get about 5 to 7 minutes with one of these questions that you have. Try to keep it to one question. Number three, don't go into story mode. Have your specific legal question right up front. Finally, the number that you're going to be using to actually call in, I'm going to put into the chat section right now, is 407-279-1754. Now, as you can imagine, I'm super tired. It is 11:39 p.m. I do have to wake up super early around 7 a.m. to go to the homeless office tomorrow. As you guys know, I go work with the homeless on Wednesdays. So if you call the law firm tomorrow between 9 to 5, you're not going to get me. There's always somebody who calls in and says, I have to talk with the attorney today. And they're usually not even a client. But bottom line is, you won't get me tomorrow. All right. With that said, here's the basic deal. You can ask questions about Social Security, disability stuff, or supplemental security income, but basically disability stuff. It might even be disabled or child benefits. It might be like how they interact with the other Social Security programs, but that's our direct point. That's what we're shooting for. Now, a couple of things. If this show is too short of a system, a thing that you can interact with, I do have a thing where you can buy an hour. We put you on the calendar. The way it works is you basically get a mini contract, you fill it out, you send it to us via email, you pay us the $250, we put you on the hearing calendar for an hour, and then at that point, basically, that's your hour. Like, that's your spot. And then we go ahead and I call you and I say, hey, what are the most of the questions they're going to be asking you about? I say, okay, get these documents and these documents and these documents prepared, shoot me an email with them, and then we're good to go for that hour. Now, with that said, I know it's late. I know that we're probably going to have a little bit of a tough time getting people to call in until people are aware to call in. I know that there's also a bit of a lead time with people being able to see the live. So I'm going to set the phone up right now. It's on the official dial section. We're going to get it kind of logged in right there. Perfect. Very good. All right. So with that said, I'm now ready to go ahead and begin taking phone calls. If you guys want to call in, cool. If not, we'll take one of the calls that I missed already. And then we'll go ahead and begin. So I'm going to give a countdown so that people have enough of a time chance to go ahead and call the 407-279-1754 number before I just go to people. Oh, we've already got one. Here we go. Hi, this is Attorney Walter Hnot. We are live on YouTube. Remember to use a fake name throughout this process. What is your legal question?
So I have a question about dire need request at the reconsideration level.
Sure. Cool. What's the question?
So how does that work? Because I'm at the reconsideration level with a disability lawyer for both the SSDI and SSI, and I don't know exactly how the dire need request works, but I know that my lawyer's working on filing one for me tomorrow.
Okay, so dire need is part of the statute, and grab a pen and a piece of paper. I'll give you the specific statute so you can kind of read what's actually contained in it. Let me know when you're ready.
Okay. All right, give me 1 second here.
Perfect. Yeah.
That way, write something down, and I really appreciate you taking time to help all of us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really. All right, I can start writing down.
So the statute is I as in igloo -2-1-40. Again, I as in igloo -2-1-40. You're going to go from you're going to go to A, like subsection A. Then you're going to go to subsection 5. 5 is what's called dire need case. It is DRND. I'm just going to read to you specifically what it says, give you a little bit of annotated notation on it. That way you feel good with it. A dire need situation exists when a claimant alleges any of the following circumstances. So basically, you have to claim that this is going on in your life. The claimant is without food and is unable to obtain it. Okay. The claimant lacks medicine or medical care and is unable to obtain it, or access to necessary medical care is restricted because of a lack of resources. They're usually talking about traveling, stuff like that. Okay, so you don't have a way to travel to medical facilities, or you're in an area that's like there's just nothing there, like you're in the middle of the mountains in the middle of nowhere. The next one is the claimant lacks shelter. In other words, without utilities such that their home is uninhabitable. Homelessness, expiration of a shelter stay, or imminent eviction or foreclosure with no means to remedy the situation or obtain shelter. Most DRNDs fit into this number 3 section. I'm going to read it to you again and give you some examples of it. The claimant lacks shelter. Now, they don't mean just homeless people. Like, I work with homeless people all the time who literally live in the woods. They've got a tarp over their tent and a cot inside the tent. But what they mean here is they're really looking for somebody who's in imminent eviction or foreclosure. If you don't have enough money in your bank account to pay for rent over the next 2 to 3 months, right, you can go ahead and type up a dire need case, a notation, and show that you don't have enough money in your bank to go ahead and pay the next couple of months of rent. Or you can get a letter that basically shows, that they're trying to actually evict you. And that basically, they've already put some sort of notice on your door. You could also go ahead and obtain what's called a homeless certificate. That's where you have to go to a homeless help center and basically obtain resources, food, shower, clothing, shoes, phone, etc. And then what will happen is they'll go ahead and, you can go to the administrators and say, hey, look, I have to use this facility. Can I get a homeless certificate? And a homeless certificate is just a one-pager that says this person has to use our, facility here as a result of their current financial status. So now let me tell you what the little notation here states, because it's an important one to add. Absent evidence. Yeah. So absent evidence to the contrary, except a person's allegations that the person does not have enough income or resources to meet an immediate threat to their health or safety. So once again, absent evidence to the contrary. So if there's no other evidence out there that's like against what the claimant is saying. So if the claimant's like, I'm homeless, and there's no other evidence to say that they're not homeless, except their allegation that they do not have enough income or resources to meet an immediate threat to their health or safety, HO employees will err on the side of designating the case critical. If a dire need situation becomes non-critical, the critical designation can be removed or modified. So the bottom line here is that there's a leaning towards a preference to give a dire need status. Now, with that said, 99% of the time, dire need status is always a welcome thing. It is nowadays because the SSA is in crisis mode, and it takes basically 17 to 18 months to do a traditional adjudication at a relatively high level of amount of people applying area. Like Central Florida would be a very high level of people applying area. A very low area would be the middle of North Dakota or whatever. So the bottom line with the whole situation with that is that when you look at a person trying to get the claim sped up, because that's what this whole thing is about. Like you're sending in this brief because you want to go ahead and get your claim sped up. One of the slowest ones of that has to be, in my opinion, number 5, which is dire need. Dire need speeds up your claim, but it's not hyper fast. There are other ones that go faster. So, for example, I think the one that gets the fastest would be basically the terminal illness people. The terminal illness people, they, no matter what, they're top of the pile every single time. They're going to the managers. They're boom, boom, boom through. The bottom of the top of the pile would definitely be the DRND people. So with that said, now back in the day, DRND, dire need claims, weren't always a good thing because it took 3 to 6 months to adjudicate a claim. When it was DRND, it would take a month to 2 months to adjudicate a claim. And sometimes you need time to, build evidence, collect evidence, talk to doctors, get new doctors, get what you need on record to fix it. So back in the day, DRNDs, they just weren't used as much because, 3 to 6 months, you're going to have a decision. That's not a big deal. But nowadays, like 17 to 18 months, everybody's trying to get a dire need. And that's part of the problem with it is that when you have an attorney, the attorney is going to be filing you for all these extra little itty bitties. And as a result of that, there's so many people file for them that they're, to some degree, especially the DRNDs, losing their preference and their expedited status for being really, really quick. And now they're just kind of like moderately to mildly quick. Yeah.
Okay. I know that for me, I live in a rural area in Georgia, and my vehicle was already repossessed, and I'm already halfway behind on my rest of the month with no means to pay it or even for continuing months. And I've been in and out of the hospital and stuff, like the mental hospital, the regular hospital, because of all my medical conditions, and I'm just having the most difficult time possible getting approved. But it seems like my adjudicator is trying to work to get me approved. She actually asked me for something interesting because I'd already submitted through the first consideration at the initial stage. the functional capacity forms that my disability lawyer had me get my doctors to fill out along with the psychological evaluation. But the disability adjudicator asked for what's called letters of opinion from my doctor, stating that I can't work, the medical conditions I have, and that they feel I should receive disability benefits and the reasons why. And like I said, the supporting medical conditions, which I got from my therapist, my psychiatrist, and my primary care doctor. And interesting enough to add, the doctor they sent me to is my primary care doctor, because he actually does disability exams for them.
So that's actually, so, keep in mind, I'm not going to say anything, but keep in mind, they're not supposed to do that. That's like a big no-no. Because remember, that's they're sending you to the doctor that you already have evidence on. That's your direct doctor to go ahead and, so the only time they were really okay that or look the other way is when there's only like one doctor in the area and there's like no other doctors in the area. So, and I mean, that might be your situation. So, it is what it is, but just as a heads up, like if they come back and say, hey, we got to send you to another CDR because we just realized that these two overlap, like just be aware that might happen to you. But it sounds good. You're getting RFC letters and opinion letters and things like that. Bottom line is this: when you go to the mental facility, do you go and stay overnight?
Last time I was there for 7 days.
Okay, so are we talking like overnight because of suicidal homicidal, or are we talking overnight because of like? Oh, go ahead.
Suicidal homicidal.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the basic thing. A much better thing for you to file, and your attorney will catch this and go over it with you, but file for subsection A6. That's the potentially violent. This is basically for the SUIC or HOMI or HOMC category. And what that means is it's critical designation for people who are suicidal / homicidal.
Okay.
And since you were in for suicidal tendencies overnight 7 days, that will get you there a lot faster. And the reason why is that the SSA tends to have a preference for pushing those a bit faster because it's not good when somebody shows up in the news being homicidal and doing homicidal acts against others while they're waiting for the disability claim to be approved.
Yeah. I agree with that. So I'll ask my disability lawyer about that tomorrow.
Sure. So, but let me grab the next claimant real quick because I only want to be live for like 45 minutes, but work on that. Remember A5 and A6, but A6 is your better bet.
Okay, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Have a wonderful night. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hi, this is Attorney Walter Hnot. We are live on YouTube. Remember to use a fake name throughout this process. What legal question can I help you with? Go ahead.
Well, I filed for disability back in 2006. And I was actually sent a letter stating how much I would receive and where to send my information to Raleigh to deposit. And I did all that and never received any income.
Okay, so
I tried to call them, back. I couldn't never get a hold of any one person. I couldn't get any answers. I waited. I kept calling and calling and calling. It's been on for like a year. I kept calling. And, that's what I guess they want us to do is to give up. But I didn't have to see a judge. I didn't have to do anything. I just applied.
So let me jump in. Yeah. So let me jump in because people kind of go in a direction. When did you get approved for benefits? What year?
It was 2006, and they told me how much.
Okay. So, and you haven't received any benefits since then?
No, never received any.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Why you over the last year, you've just been calling them to go ahead and get them to send you the benefits, correct?
Well, I mean, eventually I just reapplied because I had an injury occur that I figured they would want to be updated on. And I saw 2 different surgeons because I just felt like I needed a second opinion because it was so horrific what they were telling me and my husband. I just wanted a second opinion. But they were saying that surgery was an option, that 70% of my spinal injury needed replacement, and they only gave me 30% of surviving the surgery. And if I did that, I would probably hope I wouldn't survive it. And at that time, I wasn't even given an option if can I have a say to do the surgery? They said, no, we're not going to do it. So I went to a second one. He said the same thing. This was in 2000 and, let's see, 10.
Okay, so really quick, let me jump in. Yeah, really quick. So here's the deal. You obviously reapplied. When was the last time that you reapplied?
The last time I applied was and denied.
And when? Yeah.
Let's see. It was around 2000 and I think around 16.
All right. So my question to you is, what is the current status of the claim? Because obviously the claim has ended since then. Like, whether they rendered a decision or not, the claim has ended. So, like, did you refile very recently, or has the claim just died and you haven't done anything with it?
Well, he told me that, like, I was going to appeal it. I called the number to appeal it. And he said, look, if you'll just go back in and fill out these two forms. And I wrote them down, he was giving me what to fill out. He said, you shouldn't have no problems because I had all the medical documentation they were required.
Okay, but
different doctors.
But let me jump in real quick. So basically, it was an appeal, so the claim has died. So when are you going to file the new claim?
Well, I'm just to the point where I'm not communicating myself well, and I'm wondering how you get somebody to do that for you. Because I don't have update MRIs. I don't have revisits with these surgeons. I don't have, I don't have any health insurance. My husband's retired. I'm raising my granddaughter since 5 days old, and I've had to move my other son in to help me do that because it's too hard on me.
So real quick, no, I hear you, but remember, we got to stay on the legal thing here. So my question is this: what is the current age?
I am right now 53.
53 years old. All right. Give me a call. All right. I'm going to be at the homeless office tomorrow. Give me a call on Thursday during the 9 to 5. We'll go through the details and, basically we'll go through essentially what they're going to be looking for your types of impairments. But yours is a new filing. They're going to be looking for certain types of medical diagnostic impressions. We'll go through those. But bottom line is what I need you to work on before that phone call. Grab a pen and a piece of paper. I'm going to give you some questions to work on. That way you're ready to go on Thursday.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready.
First question is, what are your top 5 most severe disabling medical conditions? So top 5 medical conditions.
Okay.
When did you last work over the table? When, like paying taxes, stuff like that. When did you last work over the table? Okay. Final one. Basically, what medical treatment have you received over the past year?
Yeah, I'm still getting medication, but it's it's not good. But I'm still being treated.
So here's what I would say is this. Go ahead and give me a call on Thursday. I'm going to pop over to the next caller real quick. And then basically on Thursday, give me a call and we'll kind of go over details. All right.
Same number, same phone number?
Yep, same phone number. Yep, exactly.
Okay, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Have a wonderful, wonderful night.
You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So real quick, I want to answer the question from SMC. Walter, how do I know how often I will have a CDR? So you can actually call the local field office and ask them when your next CDR is going to be scheduled. But usually they're 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, or 7 years. If you were found disabled on a listing, usually they're more spread out. If you're found disabled on a vocational allowance, usually they're like 1 year or 3 year as options. I got an SSDI for bipolar, but I don't remember getting accepted because I was in the hospital while accepted. How to tell how received or how impaired they view me. So the one thing you're going to want to ask the field office rep, they might know the answer to it, they might not. But of course, if you have the decision details, you can always look at that and that'll tell you. You want to know if you're going to basically, if you received a listing level allowance, a grid out allowance, which means you're over 50 kind of gig, and or a vocational allowance, which means that all of your impairments combined limited your ability to do functional tasks, and therefore you couldn't work. Let me go ahead and take this next thing, but thank you for the $20 donation. That's absolutely amazing, and a super thank you to Diane Fernandez, the $1 donation and the $4 donation, which is very, very cool. Let me pop over to this call real quick. All right, we've got the person on speaker. Hi, this is Attorney Walter Hnot. We are live on YouTube. Remember to use a fake name throughout this process. What legal question can I answer for you? Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Sarah, and thank you for all that you do, too, by the way. You're so awesome. I tell everybody about you.
Thank you.
Yes, there's a lot of people that could use your knowledge. I was wondering, I am in the process of waiting for the administrative law judge to give me their decision. This is my second one.
Okay.
And let's see here. I'm waiting for that, and I am actually making some money. It's like stipends. Is what he's 82. It's like I feel like really nervous about, like, it's $600 a month, maybe for 2 months, or is that? Am I going to get in like super big trouble? Do you know with them? I have not reported it.
What is the action of the stipend? Like, how do you earn that? How does that, like, what do you do as a trade for it?
I actually do like a live social media, but on a business Mighty Networks for grant resources. And like, actually people joke about it and say how those could be used for my benefit in the disability hearing. Mm-hmm. You can hear at like my memory, and I'm just so anxious. But I get paid through the Matthew Lesko. I don't know if you know who he is. Give him a grant.
Okay.
Really good movie. Yeah. So I work a total of 4 lives a week, and that totals out to $600 a month.
Okay. Okay. So what I would say is this. First of all, the $600 a month is under SGA, so it's under substantial gainful activity of the 1,550. The other thing is, and this is through like a traditional payroll company, right?
No. He just calls it. He's like 80. He's about to be 81.
Okay.
And he just calls it stipends. Like, he doesn't have my social security number or anything. And he does his YouTube. He's really getting up there. And he just wants people to help other people. That's really what his goal is. And I've even missed a couple shows. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's just really trying to help other people is what I'm doing, whether he gave me money or not. But I also, I haven't told the county too, and this has been since January, and I think I got $100 or so in January. I just am very nervous, like the ALJ will find out or something. And
well, if they're not reported earnings, they're not going to show up on the IRS detailed earnings query or summary earnings query or new hire query. So, bottom line is, they're not going to know. Usually money that's paid out is paid out, in like the fashion of payroll, like ADP kind of gig. I guess you could have a stipend deal, and that's fine, but still they're going to want, they're not going to know. So that's the real answer to your question is, like, should I worry? Well, they're not going to know. So, but I think the real situation here is you might want to just make sure that's run through the proper channels so that, it doesn't kind of bite you in the butt with the IRS down the line. Now, with that said, remember, if this is like a unique deal where you're actually doing a lot more for not really, that much pay, and you're not really directly connected, like you're not an employee of the company, that would make you self-employed. Yeah, and the SSA can attribute basically whatever worth they believe your actual actions equate to, even though you're making less money. So, just be aware there's a specific statute on how, well, it's not a statute, but I always call them that because it's just easier to call them that. But SSA calculates self-employed income for disability. Let me see if we can find it real quick in Google. Yeah, here it is.
SSI. Okay.
So it's, yeah, okay, same sort of gig here, but section 404.1575, again, section 404.1575 under the Code of Federal Regulations, so 404.1575, that'll kind of get you kicked in the right direction as to the elemental requirements, because there's like a whole 1, 2, 3, analysis test that they go through. But I would go read that, and that'll kind of teach you where they're coming from with this whole self-employment thing. And, essentially how they can calculate. And remember, they can use this against you in quite an aggressive way. So you just have to be careful. Yeah. So, yeah.
And I kind of flipped up during the hearing.
Yeah. But I mean, like, yeah, like the judge is not going to, the judge isn't going to be able to use this against you. So, I mean, I wouldn't be super duper worried, but, definitely be aware that even though the judge isn't able to really use this against you, this is a situation where, if you have earnings that aren't being reported or calculated into it at some point, like, it's just going to come and nip you in the butt, especially with the disability stuff. And then, remember too, when it does nip you in the butt, that's federal treasury stuff. So like the wrong that occurred was occurring against the federal treasury because you potentially, if found disabled, were receiving disability benefits. So.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I get the 203 a month or whatever in general assistance. So I should tell my county anyways and just get everything situated regardless. I'm sorry, I know you're busy.
Yeah, no worries.
You really did totally boost at me. So thank
you. No worries.
I really do appreciate you very much. So
absolutely.
I'm gonna let you get to other people. I don't want to tie up your time, but thank you. I appreciate you very much.
Absolutely.
You have a wonderful night.
You too. Have a wonderful night. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Okay, guys, we're going to go ahead and take the next caller real quick. We missed a couple right there. I'm just going to wait until it rings through, and then we'll keep rolling through. But let's see what we got. Next caller. Here we go. Okay. Hi, this is Attorney Walter Hnot. We are live on YouTube. Remember to use a fake name throughout this process. Oh, it already hung up. We'll just wait for the next caller to come in. We'll wait. Let's see what we got. Okay, cool. Next caller. Here we go. And speakerphone. Hi, this is Attorney Walter Hnot. We are live on YouTube. Remember to use a fake name throughout this process. What is the legal question that I can help you with? Oh, and yeah, so just go ahead and mute the computer in the background, and whatchamacallit, you'll hear the audio directly through this. But again, Attorney Walter Hnot, use a fake name. And what is your legal question? Go ahead.
Hey, this is Chris, and I'm trying to find out.
Okay, so go ahead. Yeah.
I'm trying to find out on the new ruling on the 5-year work history.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. If I've already applied and been denied, and I'm going into reconsideration, would that be at the 5-year for me, or would they do the 15-year for me?
Well, I mean, so here's the thing. I'm not exactly sure how they're going to apply as to whether or not it's going to be retroactive, but the way the SSA usually does this stuff is that when they change the rule, they go ahead and basically change it so that, effectively going forward, they're just going to go ahead and utilize this, system. So like, even if you applied back in the day and, it's one of those situations where it was before this rule took place, usually when it comes to adjudication purposes, they'll just kind of go forward and do the 5-year review. Now, there are other rules where they say, okay, we have to do the 15-year review because that's what the rule was back in the day, yada, yada. So that could come into play. But, and I have to read through the specifics of the statute to see if it's going to apply in the sense of just everything going forward, and they'll do it quasi retroactively for people that are currently applying, going through the process. But the question then becomes, what do you do with somebody who basically applied, let's say 9 years before that, right? And they've gone all the way up to federal circuit, district, circuit, back remand, and then all the way back up again, and then all the way back down. And some of those people are yo-yos, they literally yo-yo up and down this chain of the docket, 15 years. what do you do with those? Then you have to apply like the 15. So this is one of those rules where I could see some judges just applying the 5-year rule and some judges actually going in picking in the timeline saying, okay, now from this date forward, we have to look 15 years back. I'm not sure which way they're going to apply it. I haven't read the full statute on what it's going to be yet. But to be safe, assume that if you filed or seek retroactive benefits before the rule change, that they can still apply it to you, the 15 years. But in practical application, some of the judges are probably not going to apply it because the whole purpose of it is to cut down on the amount of time it takes for them to adjudicate the claim.
Okay, the other question I wanted to know is I was turned down at reconsideration. They were found ineligible. And they said it was ineligible because I never turned in my work history form.
Okay.
But we could prove that I had done that. So should I try to fight that point or should I just move forward?
Well, I mean, you don't really fight it. I mean, you just appeal it and then make sure that the 3369 is submitted and continue forward.
Okay. Well, it was submitted. I just thought that I might have gotten a little more insight as to why I was denied if they hadn't given me that bogus reason. And I have an advocate that actually can prove that it was submitted. But I just didn't know whether we should just not worry about that and just proceed with the appeal.
You have to appeal. Once it's denied, you've got to appeal because the bottom line is that at that point, their whole
it doesn't matter if their reasoning was wrong.
Right, you just got to take it up to the next level, and the reason why is that at the end of the day, the next group will have to fix it. But also, if you received a technical denial, that wasn't even a medical review. So, was this at the initial filing or reconsideration level?
It was the initial filing.
So, one thing you're running into, which a lot of people are running into right now, is that we're getting a lot of really weird, wonky, crappy decisions from the SSA, especially at the DDS initial filing and DDS recon levels. The reason why is they're doing anything they can to just push the claim forward and get it to the judges. So one of the big things that you have to kind of keep in mind with this whole situation is that as a result of that, you and everybody else are going to be seeing really weird decisions that don't make sense at all. And that's just going to be part of the signal path going forward because the SSA does not have enough people to process these claims. And the really sad thing about it is that it's only going to get worse because this hiring freeze is now becoming more of a multi-year situation. So, the bottom line is there's just not enough people to process it. So any opportunity they see to just kick this thing to the curb, they're going to kick it and they're going to kick it hard.
Okay. All right. Well, I sure appreciate everything you do for us.
Absolutely, madam. You have a wonderful, wonderful night.
All right. You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. I'm just going to wait for the next call to come in real quick. Let's see what happens. How much time must we wait for the next call? It's been 3 seconds. Here we go. Oh, whoa, no calls. Nobody's calling in. There it is. All right, here we go. Hi, this is Attorney Walter Hnot with Disability Resolution PA. Remember to use a fake name throughout this process and to mute the computer on your side. What is your legal question? Go ahead.
Hi, in one of your videos, you said one of the things that judges hate is that having a lawyer from a insurance company or whatever.
Man, hit me with the question. Yeah, just roll it out at me. Yeah, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. Yeah.
Okay. In one of your videos, you said that one of the things the judges hate the most is having an attorney from an insurance company.
I mean,
I just wondered why you said that.
I've never said that, ever. I've never said that judges hate insurance company attorneys. That was probably a different person.
No, it was on one of your videos for sure.
Which one?
It's like the top 5 things judges hate the most.
I would never say that the judges, because keep in mind the disability attorneys that come from that field, the judges won't even know that they're from, that side of it. Like if they're an LTD attorney or an STD attorney, or they're like a workers' comp attorney, they wouldn't know. Like, they just wouldn't know, because most of the disability judges are like retired vets that are only judges in the disability field. So they just wouldn't know. Like, I can assure you, I never said that.
That was like that's the number one thing you said.
That's definitely not me.
Like number two.
No, it's somebody else's video.
I'll go back and watch it again.
Yeah, man. No,
I've watched it more than once.
yeah, no, I can assure you, I've never physically said that in my life. I've never said that on the video. It could have been something else. Like, it could have been like a certain type of attorney judges aren't happy with, but they don't really super duper hate the insurance, field attorneys that, like, workers' comp or an LTD attorney coming over to do a disability claim. Now, to be fair, the workers' comp and disability attorneys, I will say this, tend to be not as like versed in the Social Security disability field, because the SSDI and SSI law is very, very niche. So it's like very few people actually know it. Few people actually live in that field. So, they're not going to have the direct, interaction with it. But, still, they're going to be an advantage, having a legal background, going to law school, et cetera, being able to write briefs, stuff like that, over those individuals that practice in the field that are just non-legal reps, that aren't attorneys. So from my standpoint, what I would say is this: the judges just would not know if they were essentially an insurance attorney. Now, what does pop out, I'll say another thing. There are companies, right, that are like, owned by insurance carriers, and then they have a subdivision, and that subdivision has non-legal reps that basically go ahead and constantly represent people as non-legal reps that come through the insurance company, right? The judges know who they are, and it's just it's a mill, right? They just constantly mill people through. The judges are going to know when they see one of those like insurance companies that has a subdivision that represents people with non-legal reps. They know that that's not going to be a lot of time spent on that individual to go ahead and build the claim, work the claim, etc. I mean, I always have to unbias it and say maybe some will, but from what I've experienced, there's not a lot of time spent on the claim. So,
Okay,
but bottom line is the insurance attorneys, like, the judges just aren't going to know. They're not going to know. Now, look, a lot of these judges, the thing they do know is who comes before them or who's on the phone with them all the time. You know what I mean? So it's one of those gigs where, and just for the people watching right now, if you're calling in, I've got to finish the phone call and then you can totally call in. But you got to let me finish this one and then call in. But the point is, the whole thing here is that when it comes to disability judges like the attorneys that do this all the time, because it's very simple and straightforward. They know what they want. And that's crucial. A lot of people don't understand that when it comes to judges become happy when it's a smooth hearing, and it's a smooth hearing when the claimant knows how to, and here's the thing that always bothers me. People will be like, oh, the claimant should act like they are eating the grapes off of the wall of the wallpaper that shows grapes on it, or they should be doing this or doing that, or pretending that they can't do this or pretending. Let me explain. If a judge does a hearing, okay, and they have the entire medical record in front of them, they can see what the claimant can or cannot do. They can see exactly what the claimant was able to say to the doctor, exactly what the claimant was able to do from prior statements about what they could do at home. So this whole like playing the game thing, it just doesn't work as well as it used to, or even close to that whole thing. And so the reality is this: when claimants know how to answer the questions ahead of time, when claimants know how to go ahead and basically, kind of be in front of the ball, when the attorney already has everything prepped, when the alleged onset date has been, amended to be proper, when the administrative functions are all kind of taken care of, when, the attorney asks the questions relevant to the claim, relevant to the particular impairments, when the attorney does those things and gets it rolling and gets it through, the judge is happy because it's smooth, it's creamy, it's done. Because the judge has, most of them 5 hearings in a particular day. And so they schedule them out. And so, the bottom line is that when you get a claimant, and these are some of the claimants that the judges really don't like the most, like the dislike level is extremely high. When you get a claimant that's like inner city aggressive, where they're just like, they walk in and they're ready to just scream at the judge and be hostile to the judge. And when the judge asks them the question, and their response is, "It's none of your business. It's none of your business." Yeah, I don't have to tell you that. When they're doing that kind of stuff, judges get very unhappy. And so the reality of it is this: the judges tend to prefer those who can create smooth hearings. It's just like their clerks, like the people who are there sitting and typing. When they've got somebody who knows what they're doing, can make it flow, can make it roll, right? They like that because then they can get through the hearings faster, and they're spending less time on the administrative functions and more time on the legal adjudication portion of it.
Okay. Is there like anything bad about having a insurance lawyer or anything?
I mean, like, here's the thing. Like, I always think people should hire, essentially a specific attorney for a specific thing. So, like, if you were to me, if you were like, okay, so let's say if I said to you, hey, you have a maritime claim, right? And your LTD carrier, your LTD attorney, says that they can still represent you on the maritime claim, even though that requires like a higher, a special post doctorate, master's, or whatever. Then I would say to you, don't hire the same attorney you have to do that. Go get a bunch of different attorneys to do each specific thing. That's the best way to do it. Don't have one attorney do everything. Have a bunch of different attorneys doing the best that they can in that particular field that they practice in, because that way you're just getting the top product, top line for every single field, as opposed to one attorney who's constantly like, okay, well, where's the claim over here? Where's the claim over here? Where's the claim over here? We all focus at this point, the world of ancient practitioners, where there was just like one attorney for the town, and that attorney would just do everything. Wills, trust, and estates, personal injury, that doesn't exist anymore. We're all hyper specialized. And because of that, we're all basically just doing our own thing and learning our own field. And remember, the rules, oh my goodness, the rules are changing nonstop. To like stay on top of this stuff
Yeah,
is like,
some of your videos,
yeah,
changing crazy.
it's in Mission Impossible. Like, how do you stay on top of all this stuff? And then how do you read all this stuff? And then on top of that, how do you get all the clients? How do you, keep the clients happy? How do you keep pushing the claim? Yada, yada, yada. So the point here is, just to be fair, like, get a different attorney for every single aspect. If you got a disability claim, get a disability attorney. If you have an LTD claim, get an LTD attorney. If you get a workers' comp claim, workers' comp attorney. If you got a personal injury situation, go get a PI attorney. Get a different attorney for each particular thing. That's the best way to do it.
Okay. Yeah, looking back on it, I wish I kind of went with like a different lawyer firm, but I didn't know what I was getting into really, so. I've dealt with this kind of stuff before. So.
I mean, you got to understand too, like, it's one of those things where law firms have to process more claims than they've ever had to process in their entire life to make a buck. And the buck that they earn is really badly taxed. And then that dollar that they earn has been hyper devalued. So attorneys now that you were like, okay, I'm getting into this field because I really want to go ahead and do this. Now attorneys are like, why the hell would I be a lawyer if the money I make isn't, if I have to process this many more claims, I'm hyper stressed all the time, there's, the money isn't worth anything. Like, why would I do this? So what I'm starting to see is that lawyers that I know from America are moving to other countries that are going to appreciate their legal knowledge, their landscape, their intellectual quotients, and they're making more in that other country and having a much higher standard of living. So that's what I'm starting to see, because it's so bad for doctors and lawyers that they're literally starting to move out of this country because other countries hyper value attorneys and doctors from the United States coming over to their country and then using their skill set to further develop their field in that country.
Yeah, it's probably not a bad idea.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a smart thing to do, but then you're outside of America. The only kicker with being outside of America is that you don't have the, the Navy, the Army, the Marines, etc. That's their home base here. So you don't have that protection. A lot of the individuals end up in like, places like Taiwan and stuff like that. And, keep in mind, beautiful places, but not the safest spot to be. Yeah. Perfect, sir.
I have a hearing in about 2 weeks.
Sure.
Over the phone. Is there any advice you could give me?
I mean,
should practice on or something?
I have loaded on the website like the top 50 trick questions. I have the top 100 most common hearing questions. I would search those videos out and kind of go through them. Yeah, I would review those.
Are they videos?
Yeah, they're videos. Yeah, but still, the main thing is run hearing questions with your attorney. Like, these are the 3 levels of what happens. Level 1, you have to get used to the actual question. And what claimants always do is they don't answer the question and then shush. They just talk and keep talking because they're trying to fill airspace with whatever they think is going to be a good answer, because they don't know what the hell a good answer is. Once you get them used to the question, then you go to the next thing, which is shaping their answer. right? Because they'll just keep walking and talking as much as they can for as long as they can. So then you shape their answer, and then they start to realize that they've been feeding you BS answers the entire time, and they have this humiliation factor. And then they're like, okay, cool. Now I need to restructure myself and figure out what exactly I should be answering this thing with. Then you get to the next stage, which is running trick questions with them. And trick questions, they have to know when the silver bullet is coming their way. They've got to know when to duck. Trick questions also, they need to know how to set up their answers to anticipate further trick questions so that the judge can't use aggressive phases of really being able to master the disability hearing questions for an ALJ hearing. If you have that, you go through that, you're going to be strong, you're going to have a smooth hearing. If you don't have that, at any point you could run into a question where the judge just takes you down a long road and beats you up. And you're going to know that because all of a sudden, the category of questions, you're spending 10 minutes on one category of questions that aren't super relevant to your claim. It's because you screwed up, you said something, and now the judge has the evidence on record of you sitting there and saying it and can walk with it and roll with it and, go deep into it to figure out whether or not you're truly severely impaired.
Okay. So you were saying those questions are on your website, you said?
They're on the YouTube channel, but I mean,
Oh.
Look here, let me do I'm only going to ask you 2 questions. I want only bullet point answers, and then I got to go to the next call. Good sir, what are your top 5 most severe disabling medical conditions? Top 5.
Blindness in my eye, and my left hand and arm don't function properly. Weakness in my left leg. That's pretty much all.
All right. So I don't know which eye it is. I don't know what weakness. I don't know what medical condition is causing the weakness. The prior thing was just symptoms of an impairment. You haven't been trained at all. So your big thing is you got to learn what your medical conditions are and then start growing from there. All right. Follow-up question. When was the last time that you worked over the table paying taxes, and what have you been doing since then?
Last time I worked was in June of 2022, and I've been trying to recover since then.
Okay.
Doing a lot of rehab.
Okay. Why haven't you been able to get an alternative job since then?
Because of my impairments.
Man, you have no training at all. Like you're at origin point. You're at 0.
Yeah,
so,
I'm trying to get ready.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, I mean, you have a couple options. You can call in again on Thursday and I can run some hearing questions with you. You can buy an hour where basically you buy an hour and I do an hour of running questions with you. Or basically, just run over and over and over again with the questions that are inside the YouTube channel. Just type into YouTube, 50 trick ALJ hearing questions or 100 common disability hearing questions. And go ahead and work on that. Yeah.
All right. Thank you a lot.
Thank you, good sir. Have a wonderful night.
You too. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye. Hi, this is Attorney Walter Hnot, Disability Resolution PA. What is your legal question? And remember to use a fake name. Go ahead. Go ahead. Hi, this is Attorney Walter Hnot. Can you hear me? Hello, hello. So the interesting thing is that number has just been repetitively calling over and over and over again. And then when I answered it, there was nobody there. So one of the things that happens is that there are bots now, but hi, this is Attorney Walter Hnot with Disability Resolution PA. Remember to mute the computer on your side. Also, use a fake name throughout this process. What is the legal question that I can answer for you? Go ahead.
It's regarding when you do your reevals or reviews for disability, and you can call me Sherry.
Okay.
The last few times I've been doing my disability reviews, it's getting shorter each time, and I didn't know if that was normal. So it'll be went from 5 years to 7 years. Now it went to 2 years and a year and a half each time. I do my reviews, and my conditions keeps getting worse. And after I do these reviews, which I just did one in February, and it was 14 pages long of medical information and my just doctor's appointments.
Mm-hmm.
and the diagnosis. Each time they keep adding more.
Mm-hmm.
After I do them, then they send me this letter saying, we sent you a letter telling you was going to do a review. And I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, I know. It took me 14 pages to send you this information. Then it says, we do not need to review your case at this time.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, we will not contact the doctor. And that's what they tell me every single review now.
Mm-hmm.
Is that like a normal thing that people on disability will be going through every year and a half to 2 years now instead of every 7 years?
It depends. Yeah, it depends on the impairments, likelihood of improvement, and they are increasing. So everybody that used to be like 7 years is now in the 5 to 3 category, and that's because they have the computer software set up where it does basically these auto reviews to see if you truly meet, equal, or exceed the listings and or vocational allowances or grid outs going forward. So kind of the bottom line is, yes, they're being more aggressive with going forward and doing these reviews. Yes, they're speeding up the timeline and doing more of them. And the reasoning for that is that there's a decrease in the amount of people that are actually applying for disability benefits. So, through and by that, they're looking at, okay, well, cool. If we do more of these reviews, we'll end up kicking more people off. And if we kick more people off, we'll be in a better position to go ahead and not have to pay out as much, and the trust funds will last longer. So you're running into the culture change with the technology boost so that they can go ahead and do more of these CDRs faster, where the machine will just send out the long form, the short form, etc. With that said, if your impairments are the type that could potentially improve over time, it's one of those situations where, are they going to take the advantage to go ahead and say, okay, is this person still disabled? Is this person still disabled? Yada, yada, yada. Yeah, they're going to look into it. Yeah, they're going to look at the options of it and, continue to push it. Now, if you were found disabled on a listing level back in the day, you're less likely to have continuous repetitive reviews that are really close together. If you were found disabled with vocational allowance, right, where all your impairments equate to your inability to go ahead and do like tasks, like at-home tasks, vocational tasks, etc., then you're going to be seeing a lot more CDRs close together. But yes, it's a cultural thing, and also your impairments might be on a list that are likely to improve.
So when you're saying like task at home, like I have in-home skilled nursing coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I know you said something about age. Your age is a factor a while back.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm over 55.
Mm-hmm.
I'm visually impaired now.
Mm-hmm.
And my rheumatoid to the point where they can't operate on my spine, my hands, and my feet anymore. So I have so much bone loss, they can't. And the rheumatoid's so progressive with the other health conditions and the heart conditions.
Mm-hmm.
So those are stuff that's not changing, or they can't. Well, I don't want to say they wrote me off, but the doctors wrote me off the list doing any more operations. They're just keeping me at ease. They've given me prednisone.
Okay.
I guess what they actually said was to make me comfortable from now on out because they cannot operate anymore. But this has been in my notes to these reviews every year. I mean, they know my MRIs. I give them all this stuff. And when I submit my review, I also submit the findings every year. That's what I was wondering. Why aren't they keeping it? They must not refer back to that information.
Oh, no, no, it's not that. You're just assuming that this is not hyper automated. You're assuming that somebody's sitting there looking at it, reading it over, lusting over the paragraphs. Yeah. It's not like that. They literally have a computer program that scans through it to see what the deal is, like where it's at. This is not here's part of the big problem. And there's no way to fix it. All disabled people on disability benefits think that their claim magically goes to like the master of knowledge inside the SSA, and that the master of knowledge inside the SSA is basically like studying in depth and procedure the relevance of your new evidence as it came into the claim as it stands. No, that's not what's happening. You're literally an AI program scans it. Okay. Then if it's a problem, it goes to a DDS rep who's like college educated, sometimes, mostly for the most part, but basically like that's it. That's what it is. And so, you're not dealing with doctorate level individuals. You're not usually dealing with master's level individuals. So the bottom line is that your expectation that like, don't they understand? Don't they know? It's not like that. There's no magical guru with a long beard sitting at the SSA going like, I see she's getting worse. That's not what's going on. Everything's becoming hyper automated because they don't have enough staff to process things. And so if you keep getting a letter saying, hey, what's your current status? Hey, here's the long form, here's the short form. It's because they don't have the people to read through it all, but they want to do more of these. And if they do more of these, they're more likely to be able to kick people off. The more people they kick off, basically, the more valuable disability benefits become, and then a higher success rate of this going forward with the programs and the trust funds lasting longer.
Okay, I understand that. I mean, it definitely wasn't a automated system this time. Like last year, a year and a half ago, when I did my review, I actually had somebody call my home and go over everything with me. And after they started looking at the first 5 pages, they stopped me and they said, "We're not looking at it anymore. We know you're not improving." This time, it definitely was an automated machine, but this time I got the letter saying, "We're not even going to contact your doctors." But that's what I'm seeing now. Each time it's getting shorter, but each time they say they're not going to follow up. And I'm sitting there thinking, you spend hours getting all this information together for them, paying somebody to write it out for you, and then they say they're not even going to do anything about it after you send all this information to them. Yeah,
but you're looking at this as like a loss from your side. Like, that's the cost of being disabled. That's the cost of receiving the benefits. Like, remember, you can't look at this from like they put me through this. You get a check every single month that allows you to not have to go to work. I mean, that's a first world, country problem with a first world country solution, and what they ask of you is to prove that you are still medically severe. And it sounds like you're doing a good job by getting the right medical evidence together, getting your RFC submitted, getting, everything on board. But, remember, a lot of people, they get found disabled and they don't go to the doctor for the entire time. And then they're in a much different position when it comes time to pay the piper of going through one of these reviews. So in your situation, just to summarize, you are, doing the right thing. As you approach, 62, 63, you're probably not going to be seeing them. However, with that said, I know somebody yesterday who called in who was 64 years old, who got a CDR, which was really weird. But bottom line is, at the end of the day, you just have to understand that they're trying to hyper automate this, and the culture will be changing. And I want this it's very important. The culture will be changing going forward, so that people will not look at disability benefits as a lifelong thing. It'll be more of like, I'm just constantly getting checked to see if I'm disabled until they kick me off. And that's the future. We're not that far away from that, but that is the future of disability benefits going forward.
And I can relate to that because, like, I was just arguing with my doctors again about doing these operations. You could see people would have, for rheumatoid, they don't like to do amputation.
Sure.
And I'm like, I'd rather have the amputation instead of you coming in and doing, 11 surgeries on my hands and telling me my hands are getting worse or my feet's getting worse, and now you can't do any more surgeries.
Right.
And you still don't want to amputate. That means I'm still in the same situation. I still can't go to work.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what I'm running in with them.
Just never forget that if you get a really, really tough disability judge, even though you think you're hyper severe, and they're going to sit there and choose between a veteran who's got amputated arms and legs, you're on the chop block. That's one of the big things that people who are found disabled, and I know you were found disabled a while ago. Like, I know that because the way you're talking, you have to understand that the world that you live in now is not filled with judges that are 40, 50, 60, 70% passage rate. The world you live in now is that most of the judges live in the 30 to upper 40% passage rate zone. And so a lot of these judges that would look at this thing, if you get I'm going to tell you this, there are a percentage, let's say 2% of the judges of all the ALJs that would deny you benefits. Now, they have to go by the rules that you were found disabled from back in the day, which gives you a boost, a benefit. But the rules when you were found disabled were way better, way easier to be found disabled than they are nowadays. But if you went by today's standard and we go back to that day back then and move that day all the way to today, and you get a super low 10%, 12%, whatever passage rate judge, you would not be approved. So you have to understand that world that you were approved in doesn't exist anymore. It doesn't. The rules are different. The judges are different. The culture of the SSA is different. It's a different world. So keeping that in mind, you're pretty safe because the old rules apply to when you were found disabled. And every time you get adjudicated, they use what's called the 8-step sequential method, 8-step sequential process, rather. But for a lot of the people nowadays going through this process, they're in a totally different situation where they don't get it. They could have what you had back in the day and still very easily get denied. And so that's let me give you another thing. There was a legendary judge. I'm almost definitively certain that he has. Let me check real quick because I don't want to say his name unless I know that he has de facto retired. Let me check real quick. Let me pull him up. Jacksonville Hearing Office. All right, so this can't be right. None of these have report numbers. Hold on, let me look real quick.
It'd be nice to, like, if Medicare and Social Security would work together, like, they want to get people on the programs that they would help them get or force the hands of their doctors to do these surgeries to help people go back because they would make more money going back to work than what they would on disability.
Well, wait a minute. Do you really think that that's do you think that that's the direction of what the government is looking for? Remember,
No, well, they're wanting you off because they're running out of money. I do understand that, but I need my ankles totally replaced because the bones is deteriorated.
Sure.
So I really don't have my feet, and they need to take all the joints out of my toes and fuse my toes on with pins.
Sure.
So you're more or less saying, they want me to stay off my feet. So it's more like being amputee, but you figure they would go ahead and give you some type of device and go ahead and do that. So if they want you off the program, off the disability, they would help you use your Medicare to do that one-time surgery versus having, like, I've already had 5 surgeries on one foot and 4 on the other. So instead of doing that to somebody, it's just been better just to remove their foot, put something on in place of that instead of doing these surgeries that is not going to be effective in the long run.
All right. So let me, and that's good. And that's cute. That's like I believe in moral and ethics and I believe in it and I stand by it and here's my stamp. And I get it. But the reality of it is, I don't care if they did every surgery you needed to be perfectly healed. You're still going to argue that you should be on disability benefits, even if you have the capacity to go back and work, if you've been on disability benefits for more than 5 years. It's just the way it is. It's because your brain has been rewired to go ahead and, just essentially be on the program. If I said to you, hey, look, I need you to go work at a job with a potentially hostile boss 8 hours a day, and you're going to have to wake up 3 hours before that, prep yourself, get dressed, drive, right, an hour to get to the location, deal with angry claimants, deal with angry, purchasers because the economy is terrible, the dollar's totally devalued, and sometimes the products fail, right? And then at the end of the day, you're going to have to come home and you're going to go ahead and have to take care of other family members and, basically make things work. And you're going to be tired. You've had all these surgeries. You're not doing super duper great, but you're able to work. I guarantee you that you would not choose to go back to that life. People always say they would, but if you've been on disability benefits for more than 5 years, psychologically, your brain is not prepared to do that. It's just not going to want to,
I would say that for some, yeah, but I fought for a long time, and I'm not going to say the state I'm in, but to try to get other retraining because I had multiple degrees, and every time I set out to do something in it, my health landed me in the hospital. I was in the hospital so much that affected me keeping my job.
All
So I
right.
was still trying to find other ways. But I know that's not the norm. But I come from a family who always had their own businesses, or they were educated, where they worked in these careers in the medical field and stuff like that. You got to have your hands. You got to be able to have your eyes, which I'm getting ready to go through 2 eye surgeries.
So here's the kicker. It's not like it was 15, 20 years ago, where when you had a business, you made money, you got to keep a lot of it. The taxes are worse now. The insurance is unbelievable. Like, you spend so much money on insurance that it's mind boggling to buy things. Like, if you have to get more money to buy something right now, the percentages of what you have to actually pay to get that loan, keep that loan, is just very, very high. And then you have mass devaluation of the dollar to the point where you're earning money that's not really usable. So owning a business right now is very unsafe and pretty dumb. It's very dumb because you are essentially earning money and then burning it just to keep it alive. And so
Correct.
at the end of the day, do you think people in your position, if you had all those surgeries and you were 75% of the person capable of what they were back in the day, right? Do you feel that you would open a business now knowing that you would only be 75% capable and working around, let's say, 15 to 16 hours a day, and you would have to process significant claimants, and you would have to work at least 1.5 of the weekend? That means full Saturday, half Sunday.
I'm sorry, I lost the connection.
Okay. So
I didn't catch the last part, but I know that I would not get a loan because I tried to start my own business up. I tried to get off the disability, and everybody in my area, I live in a small area, they know my condition. They know how many surgeries I had, and they know they could see what I'm going through.
Mhm.
Even though they see me try to push through it, they automatically, I know it's discriminatory, but they deny me my loans because of that, because they should not base it on what they see and on your health and stuff like that. They didn't base it on my credit or anything, but they based it on knowing me.
Well,
and
and
my condition.
you're a risk too. You take the loan and you go onto
Right.
disability
They
benefits.
refused me a loan,
Yeah,
and I run this
but you
same
did.
thing with the job.
Yeah, but remember, the main reason isn't that they see you're disabled. The main reason is they know that if you go on disability benefits, then you can usually get that loan for the most part forgiven, once you're found disabled. Same thing with student loans. People who are on disability benefits and remain on disability benefits, their academia, whatever they get into, whatever they go into, those student loans are pretty much forgiven repetitively over and over. So, the point here is, it's it's not set up for people to go back into the business world, even if they're fully cured. And the brain of the individual who's on disability, it changes. And then for somebody to be like, yeah, I want to go back out into it, it's not the same. What you used to be able to buy and afford and do things, like, it's just like, people don't go home at the end of the night anymore feeling good. Nobody feels good. The entire generation is just pissed off and angry and has student loans, and it's just a total horrible situation because at the end of the day, they don't have what they want, which is not all of what their parents had, but some of it. And so, it's just, I can't even explain what it's like. It's like you work. I mean, look at it. We're literally live right now at 12:47 a.m. 12:47 a.m. I have to go work with. I'll probably do 22 to 25 files tomorrow, which are basically, individuals, homeless people that I'll see when I'm at the homeless facility. And during that time, when I go to that homeless facility, the law firm loses money because I'm mostly representing and working on SSI claimants. The system doesn't work anymore. The money is worth so little, and the entire effect of everything costing so much that it literally costs money beyond what you can make to represent SSI people. It's a tougher situation nowadays. Like, honestly, if I could go back in time, and I got to get to the next caller because we've spent a little bit too much time on this,
Okay.
but if I could go back in time, I would have gone into house restorations and farming. You know what I mean? I would have been the smartest farmer of the field. I would have figured out all the tractor parts. I would have figured out how all the computer systems work. I would have built workarounds for the computer systems so I could go ahead and, not have to have some super company go ahead and control the tractor. I would automate things. I would use GPS tracking systems to go ahead and make the tractors ride themselves around. I would have done all that stuff. I would have done these beautiful websites, sold things, direct to consumer, all that stuff. But I did what I thought was the right thing to do, which was go get an education, become an attorney, and go ahead and represent people. And what I've learned is that being the greatest attorney has nothing to do with being the most knowledgeable, has nothing to do with being, basically Johnny on the spot with an argument in front of the judge, has nothing to do with that. What it has to do with is getting clients. Because if you don't get clients, the entire thing fails. And that is what basically disgusted me with the industry. And then over the past so many years, I saw what judges were doing to some of the political figures. And I started to read through the legal briefs that they were creating against these political figures. And I started to realize justice ain't so blind. Justice is looking real sharp and playing the game. And when the judicial division started to play those games, it made me disgusted in essentially the neutrality that I fell in love with, the gridlock neutrality that I fell in love with. So for me, the field has a tainted sense to it. And as a result of that, I've become a little bit bitter towards the whole attorney, judge, client situation. But, and I think you guys kind of get to see that because I explain where things are going and how I see the BS in it all. But think about this. The simple answer to your question is, it doesn't matter if they continue to do more and more CDRs. If you're getting worse and worse and worse, the automation isn't going to make a difference. They're just going to go ahead and pass you through each time. But will it increase? Yes. As their ability to hyper automate, make their AI system better, and buy your records more quickly, which, by the way, they've just gotten better at. Now they have systems with a lot of these larger medical facilities where they press a button and boop, automatically brought into their ERE system, automatically in the F folder. So as they get better, they're going to continue to review you. But if you're still medically equivalent or worse, then you don't have to worry about losing your benefits.
Some of it was that, but some of it just all these reviews, and like we were saying, and with Medicare being right there together, I have 19 specialists I see every month, and not counting their testing every month. And I'm just like, why don't you just press a button, go over to Medicare, get all my medical records, boom, you've got them. You can see everything I go through every month, every week, every day.
Right, but that's the problem. It's disabled people thinking that somebody there with a, white hairline and a doctorate level understanding of this system is really paying attention to what's going on in your life with their program.
Well, I didn't know, like, if they had, how you have databases, like they could pull from one database and bring it over to their database and just drop all that information right in.
But then who's going to review it? And remember, they just got the medical database for larger medical facilities. That was over the past 2 to 3 years. They didn't even have that until 2 to 3 years ago.
Oh, okay.
So, keep in mind, they have that automated. But again, the hyper automation is only as good as the technology to review the files is and the person that's reviewing the results from that AI search. So,
I'm not saying, I'm only filling out short forms, and I got to see this year the long forms that people's having to fill out, and I'm just like, oh, thank God I don't have to fill out a long form.
Sure.
So,
yeah. But I tell you what, let me grab the next claimant real quick. I'm just going to go through that call, and I will catch you a little bit later. I'm just going to do one more call after this, but you have a wonderful, wonderful night. Yeah.
Great. You too. Thank you. And thank you for all the help you've been giving everybody.
Absolutely. Have a wonderful night, though. Thank you.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Hi, this is Attorney Walter Hnot, Disability Resolution PA. Remember to mute the computer on your side. Remember to use a fake name throughout this process. What is your legal question? Go ahead.
Okay. Sorry, let me mute my television real quick.
Sure.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going on an appeal right now, the second appeal with disability.
Okay.
And this time I have further evidence saying that I do have some form of disability. I have severe major depression, severe major anxiety, severe major mania. That's for starters. And then I was recently diagnosed with full arthritis in both hips, knees, ankles, carpal tunnel in both wrists, and arthritis in my left shoulder. I don't know how this could fare for me, how I've been fighting and dealing with this. So I'm just kind of a little bit of at a loss because I've been going at this for about 4 years now.
Real quick, legal question though, because everybody, you know what I mean? Yeah, legal question. Go ahead.
Yeah, go for it.
No, what is your legal question? Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. So I'm somewhat new to the whole disability process, so I'm not understanding what exactly is the legality of disability or how to pursue it so far.
Oh man, that's like how to do I think you just asked me how to do disability law. That's basically.
Okay. Well, I've been talking with my attorney.
Sure.
And the nice people at Quick Aid,
Mm-hmm.
and they said, yeah, you do kind of have a case, but I don't know whether it would be in my favor because I've been getting more and more documentation. I'm scheduled to go back to another specialist because she thinks I may have arthritic lupus, which I was reading and said, yeah, that is a legal disability. And she wants to do a chest x-ray as well to check my lymph nodes. Unfortunately, I don't have the money to get my lymph nodes checked.
And what's your current age?
I'm currently 37.
What's your highest level?
I'm 38 this year.
What's your highest level of education?
Some college, no degree.
When was the last time you were in a mental facility overnight for multiple days?
About 6 months ago.
Okay.
I was there for 2 weeks, and then I went to a supplemental security office to readjust me back into normal life.
Okay. When was the last time you were working a job over the table with payroll?
August last year.
What happened to that job?
I resigned because I could no longer do it. My vertigo kicked in. I was running heavy freight, unloading trucks, being cashier, security advisor. I actually collapsed on the sales floor and hit my head and didn't go to the hospital. It was just a minor hit on the ground. I just told the store manager, I need to resign. I can't do this anymore.
Okay. Why haven't you done any jobs since then?
I've been doing some freelance work. I don't pay for their web expenses. They just pay me directly. And then they pay the web company and then they pay me for my design layout. Usually it's about $40, $50, and I try to afford it on my taxes if I can.
Okay. So, all right. So here's the bottom line. I know that you're not listing level. You're definitely not a compassion allowance listing. You're too young for a grid out, which means you're going to be a vocational allowance if you're severe enough. So you said you had some musculoskeletal limitations. When it comes to walking, how far can you walk before you have to stop and rest due to the pain?
About 100 feet.
Okay. So do you use ambulatory devices such as like walkers, crutches, canes, stuff like that?
I use a cane.
Okay. So this cane that was prescribed to you, how long ago was it prescribed to you?
A little over 6 months ago.
Okay. So look, I know how these claims develop. You're in the early version of getting medical evidence together because this all just kind of happened and your life fell apart as a result of it. So what's going to happen is this. You said that basically you had 2 appeals. Sometimes people mean that they're in the reconsideration stage. Sometimes people mean that they're at the ALJ hearing stage. Are you at the judge stage or the stage before that?
I'm actually at the judge stage. We had a hearing on the 24th of last month.
Okay.
And they said I would hear back in about 60 days.
Okay. So 3 to 4 months is usually when you'll hear back. So a little bit more than 60 days. I don't know why the Quick Aid people and the attorneys that work for Quick Aid always say 60 days. They've been saying that forever. It's never been 60 days. It's always been 3 to 4 months for the average individual.
This actually came from the judge himself.
Well, then they're expediting it. So what is that's not a good, so, okay. All right. So if it came from the judge and 60-day decision, there must be either something in the medical evidence that shows that you really, really are severe, or it's one of the situations where it's going to be a quick denial. So what in the medical evidence shows that you're really, really severe for one of your particular impairments?
I've done all the tests that they've requested.
Just one
and they
impairment,
did
though.
ask me to
The most severe evidence that shows that you're severe for your most severe impairment. What's the evidence?
that would be the evidence of my arthritis seeing a specialist who does the thing. And we've gone through the blood tests and other various tests that they require.
Yeah, but if you were that bad, you'd be in a walker, a rollator, or a wheelchair, not a single cane. And the statute for the 1.0 requires double cane, double crutch, walker, rollator, etc. So that ain't it. So
Gotcha.
what's the other impairment that's the most severe?
Mostly my extreme bipolar.
Okay, so you say extreme bipolar. The bipolar, when you're extreme, you're living in a sanatorium. When you're severe, you're visiting a sanatorium for a couple of days every 3 to 6 months. So when you say extreme, what do you mean by that?
I can go from the happiest guy on earth, or I could just, the last time I was at a sanatorium or mental institution, as you would say, was from suicidal ideation, and I never fed myself. Hygiene was kind of out of the question. I just wanted to end it. So those are the two ends of my spectrum.
Over the past 24 months, so 2 years, how many times have you been inpatient at a behavioral center?
4.
That's not a bad claim. That's probably what the judge is leaning on. Okay, so I mean, bipolar, probably some personality disorder in there, probably some anxiety, depression, probably any PTSD as well, or no?
A little PTSD, yeah.
All right, so that's probably the lineage right there, because look, if you're inpatient that many days, that's probably what the judge is leaning on for an approval, which means that you've got good evidence to show that basically you can't be. Now, were any of these suicidal or homicidal Baker Acts?
Both, actually. I hate to say it, but
Yeah.
they were both.
Yeah, you're probably going to be approved then, because if you're in 4 times over a 24-month period and you're suicidal and homicidal, the SSA likes to approve the homicidal people, especially because, let's just call it like it is, you end up on the news and make the SSA look really bad when something bad happens, and you're not on benefits, but you're waiting for benefits, and you're homeless, and they're trying, you're going through all that. All right, this is likely to be an approval. But keep in mind, and as a result of that, the judge might spin this around and basically have their writer go ahead and put this, on the chop block to get it done. But you probably got through on the I-2-1-40 subsection A6 for HOMI or HMC and SUIC rating. So in that case, you're going to expedited push through. So this is a good claim. This is a good claim because of those things. With that said, and I want to make you aware of this, when you do CDRs in the future, when you live in the bubble, right? So when you're financially safe, you have your own apartment, you have your own disability benefits coming in, they give you Medicare. When you're financially safe and they go back to review you, remember, a lot of these types of claims, they see improvement because you're no longer going to a behavioral facility overnight for multiple nights. So just make sure that when you present your medical evidence that it looks like as severe as it was when you were found disabled.
Okay, I got you. I'm kind of young-ish, so I'm just kind of trying to figure things out as I go. So
yeah, they're going to do a ton of reviews because you're in your 30s, and they don't like to pay out claims when they're that young, because then they got to pay them for the rest of their life, and that's $500,000 plus something dollars. Yeah.
No, and that's what I've heard. I'm hoping with a grain of salt that maybe it'll get through, but if not, once I can finally save enough money to get an x-ray, or if they request an x-ray on their behalf, I'd be more than happy to go do it, just to make sure that they don't have lupus or some other kind of detrimental thing to my health.
What's the passage rate of the judge?
I'm sorry?
What's the passage rate of the judge?
I do not know the answer to that question. It was a phone interview.
Okay.
I honestly do not know that, to the best of my knowledge.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, one of the things I would do if I were you, I'd call the attorney, ask the attorney which, you don't have to say it on the air, but ask the attorney what judge you had, what their percent passage rate was. If you're looking at a 40% passage rate, very likely approval. If you're looking at 30s, maybe. If it's lower 30s, you're getting into the no. If it's in the 20s or the 10s, no approval. But if you're in the 40s, for it's the national average area. If If you're in the 40s, then likely approval.
Gotcha. Okay. Now things are starting to make a little bit more sense.
Sure.
I just didn't know what questions to ask.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, but sounds good, sir. I will catch you a little bit later. You have a wonderful, wonderful night. Okay.
All right, you too, sir. It's 12:03 here in the morning in the great state of Texas. So.
Excellent. Well, sounds good. Have a wonderful night. I'll catch you later.
All right. Thank you, sir, for helping me out.
Thank you, good sir. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and basically end the show there because it is getting super late. It's 1:03 a.m. I know the phone is still ringing. I totally get it. But the thing is this, guys, I have to wake up and actually go work with the homeless. So, which is just absolutely, I've been doing it for, I don't know, it's almost 11 years now with this particular homeless facility. So with that said, I'll catch you a little bit later. We really went through some great questions. I want to do a shout out specifically to those individuals who donated. I know that Diana Fernandez donated. I really, really appreciate that. I see the $2 donation there. I also see the $1.99 donation with a little microphone, which is cool. And Batty Beth, who's always a huge donator, which I always appreciate with the $2 donation. And then again, the $10 donation, which is awesome. So I want to thank everybody for being a part of the show. Please remember to like and subscribe. It's crucial for people to be able to know that this video exists, the content, etc. So like and subscribe. Also go to Google. If I helped you out tonight, please consider going to Google, typing in Disability Resolution Law Firm or Disability Resolution Florida, and throw some stars up there. You can leave a review and then put some stars up there. Other than that, please remember during the 9 to 5, right, regular law firm hours, if you do have a quick question and you already have benefits, make sure you don't call the law firm from 9 to 5 because the back office staff is ready to find me and, basically take a baseball bat. So the point is, just make sure you don't call the law firm with your quick question when you already have benefits. Use the live sessions on Tuesdays and Thursdays. If you need more time, if you have a complex situation, if it's like we tried this, and it all went to hell, then you know what I mean? Or if it's one of those things where you have a CDR coming up and you want to hire me to go ahead and figure out what's going on, or you have basically a situation where you're getting out of the work environment and want to know what programs to set up before you leave it to have a smooth disability transition, cool. Do the 1 hour. It's the $250 for an hour. We put you on the hearing calendar. There's a bio link in the stuff below inside the bio of the video. I will catch you guys a little bit later. You have a wonderful, wonderful night, and we will go from there. And thank you so much for being a part of these live sessions. They are definitely tough. We have to use a little bit of the caffeine to get it kicked in and rolling, but I will catch you later and have a wonderful, wonderful night. Sleep well. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, and we'll go from there. All right. Bye-bye.